Hello, I'm Kathy Hodgson, Lakewood City Manager. And this is a pretty difficult topic. Today, our nation is dealing with unprecedented events. First of all, we've got the coronavirus impacting our entire world. And because of that, we've got a real economic crisis. We're seeing acts of police brutality, of protests, of riots all over our nation. And this has had a profound impact on our community and on our country. A lot of people have concerns and are worried and have fear. People are also talking about policing in our country and want to understand how that works and feel comforted by understanding how policing takes place in their community. So because of that, we're going to have a conversation with our own police chief, Dan McCasky, just to get his thoughts on what's happening in the world today and how that relates to policing in Lakewood. So with that, hi, Chief McCasky.
Hi, Kathy. Thanks for allowing me to be here today.
Of course, it's my pleasure. So I just have a couple of questions. So first of all, tell us about your background. How long have you been in law enforcement?
So I started in this career almost 36 years ago, and I've been at Lakewood almost 34 years
Wow.
now.
That's amazing. So why did you decide to go into law enforcement?
I think like a lot of other men and women who join this career, there's a sense that we want to give back to our communities, to be part of a solution, to help, to make our communities better. And it's really a noble profession, and we do a lot of really good things for our community, and it's just that sense of giving back and serving.
Do you feel that most agents feel the same way?
Absolutely. I think that's one of the things we see the most when we, with all of our police agents, all our police employees. There's this real sense of community and giving back and taking care of our citizens.
So what is the most important attribute that a police agent needs to have in order to serve the public?
First and foremost, it's got to be integrity and honesty. You have to have that foundation to serve anybody. And so those are the two most critical things. But then you have to, you have to be a good communicator. You have to be a problem solver. You have to be compassionate. You have to be intelligent too, because you deal with a lot of complex problems. But that foundation is integrity, and then you build upon that. And you also have to have a sense that you want to, you're willing to serve and protect. And I think that comes with everybody who joins our organization.
I agree, and I think that's why Lakewood has the reputation it has as an excellent police department. How does the department ensure that the work is done without bias and without prejudice?
Well, to start with, you have to hire the most qualified candidates, and that's what we do. We have a very rigorous screening process and then a training process, but we also have policies in place once our police agents are out on the street. We have policies in place that ensure the proper conduct, ensure fair and just treatment of anybody they deal with or they're in contact with. We have great supervisors who monitor that. We have a really strong internal affairs department that we monitor behavior. We hold each other accountable too. We know that that's our responsibility. That you can't allow another one of your fellow police agents to do something inappropriate. That needs to be reported, and so that's a really strong mechanism. Is we do hold each other accountable.
I love that. How are applicants screened when applying to be a police agent?
So we, as I mentioned earlier, we really have a rigorous process. So to begin with, you have to have a 4-year college degree, and I'm very proud of that. We're one of the only departments in the nation that require that, and that's been one of our founding pillars, is that 4-year degree. So that's really important to us. But we have a really rigorous background check. But we have a written video test that you have to pass that test, and that's a really difficult, strict test. Then you have an interview with a panel, really detailed interview. After that, if you pass that, then you have a psychological test. And if you pass that, then you have a really thorough background investigation done We talk to family, friends, co-workers. We look through all your past records, really a really thorough background check. And then if you make it through that, we have a physical fitness test and a medical test. And then finally, the last part is another psychological test. So the psychological testing is really critical for us.
Wow, Chief, that's a rigorous process.
Absolutely it is, and we want the best candidates, and another part of that process is we have a polygraph test because, again, integrity is so important. So we do want the best candidates, and so we make it a very rigorous process.
And that sounds exhaustive in terms of the real scrutiny that goes into each application and each hiring. Would you agree?
I absolutely. It takes us really from start to finish almost 6 months before we hire somebody because we want to be so thorough and make sure we get the right candidate.
And because of that, the department serves as a model for innovation and professionalism. In fact, as you know, many of our programs have been replicated by other police agencies across the country. So how does this play a role to the agents who are out on the street?
Well, we take a great deal of pride in our history. We were founded sort of in a unique way, and if you look back at the history of the Lakewood Police Department, we were modeled after a President's Commissioned report in the late 60s at times of real turbulence, civil rights unrest, the Vietnam War, racism, a lot of issues going on, and so we were founded out of that, and we were founded to be a model of, kind of a new model. And if you look back at our history, our officers or police officers are called police agents, and we modeled that after the FBI because they had such high standards. And we tried not to be traditional. We wore blue blazers and gray slacks. And turned out that didn't quite work out well for us, but our uniforms have changed over the years. We've adapted and we've been innovative and we've tried new things, and it's really a sense of pride in our organization that we are so innovative and we adapt to change, adapt to society. And we have some great programs now that we've started. A good example is our community action team, and we've had departments across the state that have asked us about that and what that's like, and because it's just such a great team and it's such an innovative team.
You must be really proud of that.
I am. I'm really proud. Our community action team or our CAT team, we've developed this team to really address a lot of social issues. We're addressing homelessness, mental health. We're even moving forward with a diversion program for minor offenses for drug offenders, which is we're going to be one of the first in the state. That's started in a couple other departments, but it's a really successful program. So we just look for innovative ways to serve our community, and that's sort of instilled in the fabric of everyone we hire.
Okay, can you talk a little bit about de-escalation techniques and crisis training, those kind of things, crisis intervention? How do you train that, and how important is that for the agents?
It's critical to our success. So we train a lot in the academy when we start de-escalation, things like that, because a lot of times we are confronted with situations where you have a violent offender or it's a violent situation, and you don't want to have to meet force on force like that. Your best efforts are to de-escalate, time, distance, tactics, put yourself, away from the situation, let it calm down. So we really work hard on de-escalation. The crisis intervention training or CIT training, that's a 40-hour course that our goal is to get everybody in our patrol division through that course, and we've been pretty successful. And that deals with all sorts of situations, mental health, anybody in crisis, domestic violence, and it gives you some verbal techniques and skills to sort of to de-escalate these situations. And it's really important. It's really something that our department strives for. We want all of our agents to go through that, so it's just a great tool to have.
So as you mentioned or referred to this, the department was formed in 1970 at another time of upheaval over police issues. Explain what that's meant to the Lakewood Police Department and how has that shaped the department today?
So we're not a very old department. We're not one of these departments that have been around for a couple hundred years. So, and as I mentioned, we started at a time of social unrest. and we modeled ourselves to be a different professional police agency. And so that's sort of in the fabric of our founders, and their innovation, professionalism, community service, all of those things were the fabric of the founding of the Lakewood Police Department. And that tradition, that thought process has been passed on through the ages. And again, we've only been in existence for 50 years, so it's really that philosophy, that level of service is interwoven in the fabric of the Lakewood Police Department. And so we were founded at a difficult time, and we understand that the history of the United States, there are going to be difficult times.
Yeah.
And we've developed ourselves so we can change and adapt to meet those changing needs.
So, Chief, what do you think is the most misunderstood part of police work?
Well, I would have to say it's been frustrating for our officers because we've sort of been lumped into in one category, and I would say that's difficult for the men and women who go out and serve their communities every day. They're professional, and they serve with integrity. Probably, I think what people don't understand is the different hats we have to wear. You know, one call might be a barking dog complaint, and 2 minutes later, you're responding to a shooting during a robbery, and then an hour later you're helping somebody who's changed a flat tire. So there's a lot of really high stress, high emotion parts of our job, and then there's really low key, mundane tasks that we do, and it takes a special person to be able to adapt to all of those.
Yeah, no kidding. Wow, that's amazing, the spectrum of work that you do. It really is incredible when you think about it. So how do you personally feel about the national events over the last couple of weeks? How are you dealing with that personally, Dan?
Well, when I first saw that video in Minneapolis, I was so demoralized.
Yeah.
I was heartsick. It was just, it was horrific. I had the range of emotions that I had, I can't even tell you. I was so disgusted by that. And I knew, and I think a lot of our members knew, that there was going to be a big backlash.
Yeah.
And so what I've told and I understand that. That was a horrific video. I think one of the things our community needs to know is that there was as much anger or more in our building amongst our ranks as the general public, because we saw how horrific that was. Yeah. And we knew that the trust we had built within our communities was going to be shaken, if not lost, because of that one event.
Yeah.
And so it's difficult, and I've had a long career, and I've been through some of these different situations where I've seen where we lose public trust because of actions of police officers. And it's frustrating because now we have to continue to build and gain the ground that we had already gained with that trust.
Yeah.
So I understand. I understand the response of the American public. I understand the anger, the anguish, everything that they had. So it was very demoralizing, and I think when you talk to our police agents, they would tell you the same thing.
I have heard that. Mm-hmm.
Because it puts our profession in a bad light. There's probably 1 million police officers in America, and the majority, if not almost, the 99%. I know I hear that number, but I don't know what number that is. But men and women go out and serve every day, and they're dedicated and they're compassionate and they want to serve their community.
And they risk their lives for the safety of the community.
Yes.
That is so important, I think.
Yeah. So it's been tough. It's been tough. It just shows you in our profession you can't ever take anything for granted. That public trust is so important because we're there to serve and protect. We're not there to do what we saw in Minneapolis, and so we've got a lot of work ahead of us. I think though we also hear from our community members who thank us for being out there, and they know that not all police agents or police officers are like that and don't, and you know, so that's been good to hear too.
Yeah. Didn't I just hear that somebody sent some donuts to you guys
Yes,
to
yeah.
thank you for your service?
Yes,
That's
we love donuts. You know, that's yeah.
that's funny.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, we've had a lot of citizens reach out. So
Yeah.
you know, there's a lot of quiet support for us, and but again, we as a profession need to be better. We need to better take care of our community, and organizations need to police themselves.
Yeah. Thanks, Chief. How can the public, how can the community get involved or have a voice in the police work? How can they communicate with the police department?
We have a lot of different ways. We have a Citizens Police Academy that we do once a year, and that's a great way to get to meet the men and women of our organization. And it's a good program where you get to see the different things we do. You get to go through some of the training we go through. And I'd encourage anybody that's interested to apply for that. We have a volunteer program. There's a lot of different opportunities that we have that you can volunteer with. So we'd love to have, you know, we love that involvement. So there's a few different ways to get involved with your police department. National Night Out is a really good event. You get to meet us, not where there's a situation of crisis.
Yeah, yeah.
And you get to really know the men and women who wear that badge and serve you. So there's a few opportunities out there. There could always be more, but you know, we're looking at ways to always broaden our outreach.
So, Chief, I know that I speak for a lot of members of our community by thanking you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for committing your whole career to the service of serving our public. And I'd also like to express our gratitude to the men and women who work for the Lakewood Police Department. And please express our best on behalf of the citizens of Lakewood. So thanks, Chief.
Well, thank you, and I want to thank our citizens for allowing us to serve them. You know, and it's our goal to always be better and always do the right thing and to make our community a safe and a great place to live. So, and we can't do that without our citizens. So we can't serve without them. So I just want to say thank you, but I also want to thank our citizens for the trust they have in us. And it's our goal. We're going to keep working to always maintain that trust.
I love that. Thanks, Dan. It was nice to visit with you. And thanks for joining us today.